Hi folks, thank you for joining us. We are Alturais and I'm Praveen, and we are here to talk to you about Snapchat for brands. Snapchat is one of those networks that has really gained a lot of traction. It's very popular, but sadly, a lot many brands still haven't got onto the platform. And we felt it would be a good opportunity for us to get on a Facebook Live webinar with you and walk you through why Snapchat is such a big deal. Especially today, considering that they are going to be launching Spectacles, their latest innovation. Snapchat launched about 5 years back, and the name of the app wasn't always the same. It was Peekaboo. And from there, it became Snapchat. And from Snapchat, they have rebranded to Snap Inc. The rationale being that Snapchat has gone a really long way since where they started. Snapchat was once upon a time just a social media network, but now they call themselves a camera company, which is interesting because what they're essentially seeing themselves as is someone who enables people to share memories from their life. And it's not just Snapchat, the social network that they are a part of. They're also now a hardware device manufacturer, and they're getting into a lot of many new interesting spaces. So coming back to Snapchat, it's an incredible network, very unique in itself. When it came first to the industry, it was pretty, people kind of frowned on it because it was unlike any of the typical social networks that people were used to seeing. But it was inevitably destined, its destiny had something really great in store for Snapchat, and that is what we are seeing happen today. Snapchat is already, as you must already know, a very powerful network. It's very popular with the youth, tweens and teens, you might call it. Millennials, too, are actively taking onto the platform. It differentiates itself from most of the networks in a very different way because, in the sense, you don't get a wide array of sharing capabilities on the network, but what you do get is something very exciting, very ephemeral, and by that I mean things that really don't last very long. They come, they stay for a little while, and if you miss it, you miss it. In 24 hours, everything hits reset and it goes back as if nothing ever happened. And that's the beauty of it. The psychological factors that drive the network and its users are phenomenal. And understanding this is going to be a key factor why your brand can leverage the network and really start making good use of it. And that brings us to another key fact that you must know is that the video traffic on the app is today second only to Facebook, in the sense when it comes to you know, let me just look up the numbers. The video traffic on the app is really catching up to Facebook's 8 billion daily views. It is already one of the topmost and second most sought after social network for US teens aged between 14 to 19. It's becoming the most popular social network. Facebook isn't what it used to be, obviously, now that all your parents, grandparents, and great grandparents, and everyone you wanted to ever avoid in high school are already on the network. So there's a good reason for you to want to be more selective with your circle, share very personal, intimate tidbits of your life with your audience, and that is what makes Snapchat the powerful platform that we know it is. Coming back to what differentiates it, it allows you to really tap into your creativity. You could point the camera at what you're looking at and share a 10-second clip of what it makes you feel and what you want to share with the rest of the world. Or you could point the camera back at yourself and tell the world what you are feeling right now as you experience what you're experiencing, which is fascinating in its own self. There are also the capabilities of fun little tools and filters and lenses that you must have seen. Pretty much every celebrity I've ever followed is already on the network. It really increases the bankability, their approachability, their sense of being able to share and interact with their fans. It's an incredibly powerful platform, not just for celebrity, but any kind of brand that wants to form a more likable, warm, tender connection with their audience. And I did say tender, not tender, just making sure. The other fact that the network does is it shares its videos in what you might call stories. We'll come to that in a little ahead. But there are also these memories that you can save. The platform has been evolving ever since its launch 5 years back. It is today very different from, you wouldn't be able to identify the current network from what it was back then. Back then, it actually appealed to things that would only last for a few moments. Now they've integrated things like chat, they've integrated cash transactions, they have integrated memories where you can actually save videos for posterity. And now the latest announcement, which we're kind of counting down to it ourselves, is Spectacles. Spectacles is right around the corner and is going to be launching its bots right in time for holiday season. And these bots are essentially vending machines where you can swipe your card for about $130 and get yourself a spanking new pair of spectacles. These are sunglasses essentially, but the cooler version of them, very hipster, I must say, which have a camera on board, which allow you to record videos and do all kinds of fun things. More on spectacles towards the end of this video. So moving on, we also know that marketers have started to pay attention to Snapchat. We have been seeing some brands really making powerful use of this network. Taco Bell, HP, just to name a few, UFC, Pop Sugar. Some of these brands are doing exceptional work on Snapchat, and it's strange to say that many brands still haven't, they really haven't got the hint that how powerful this network can really be for them. And that is what we wanted to share. It gives you instant results. You don't have to wait a week, a month, a year to know whether the results have been working out for you. The beauty of the network is it creates a scarcity principle. It really gets into the scarcity principle psychology of people. You tell people that if you miss today, if you do not check your Snapchat and what my brand has to offer you today, you miss the bus. The offer that we have today is not going to be there tomorrow. It's only on the brand's timeline for 24 hours. And like every other message on the network, everything, poof, just vanishes in 24 hours. So if you miss it, you miss it. There's no coming back. There's no digging around. It's gone. And that's the beauty of it. So you can actually create, you can tap into the psychology of people to want to make sure the FOMO aspect, fear of missing out, and make sure that they get a piece of your brand's key communications when it's appropriate. So moving on to the network, we would really like to talk to you now about Snapchat basics. While the network in itself is pretty impressive, and you can spend days, weeks, months figuring things out, and right when you think you figured it out, they add a new feature and you go back to school. But the fact is, Snapchat is pretty functional. It's easy to use. You should not feel intimidated by it. The only thing you need to keep in mind here is that almost everything you do, you're talking with your camera. And understanding the camera is going to be a key factor to making use of the network and how you need to get started with it. So getting started, Snapchat essentially is used by Snapchatters. So you should just snap it to me, or the lingo on the network is pretty interesting, and that is one of the key things. So a snap, or what you actually share on the network, is either a still, a photograph that you take with your front or rear camera, or it could be a video. A video is typically something that they restrict to 10 seconds, but you can really have a long video. You can actually just cue a longer video and just keep your finger down on the shutter, record your 10-second, record the next 10 seconds. It's pretty convenient. It's functional. It works. Longer pieces of video and content can be shared, have been shared successfully on the network. So it's really not that big a deal, but it's a lot of fun. People have to, so when you're watching a story or a snap, you can nicely blend pictures, stills, and videos in very interactive, fun methods. And again, for brands, the opportunity here is to really get into being creative. You really challenge your creative gray cells when it comes to Snapchat. What you do on Facebook, Twitter, or any of the other networks really has no bearing on what you do on Snapchat. It's completely a different beast. It needs a lot of TLC in a different sense of it, and you really need to invest your creative grayscales to make sure that it really works wonders for you. It's and Snapchats and snaps are essentially a key factor. Another key thing that we want to also share with you is friends. Friends are obviously your followers. People, it's more warm, you might call it. And as a brand, your friends are essentially your potential prospects, customers, and others who are interested in following your brand, what you have to say, and what you have to generally put out there in the world. And that is one of the key factors. So I'm just going to take a pause here and remind all of you that we are currently live. This is a live video, and so watch out for the bloopers. And you can communicate and share whatever you have to say either on our Facebook page. You can actually chat right below, and we'll try and take your questions either during or after the video. Or you can tag us on Twitter with the hashtag social hacks and social hacks, and we will be happy to take on any questions or queries that you have. So coming back, friends are people whom you can add onto your network and people who can follow you back and essentially keep tabs on what you're doing. So every time you share a story on Snapchat, you get to see what how many people have checked it out. You get to see exactly who has seen your story. And these are people who are following you. You can actually make sure that if you're an individual and you want to share something privately with a very close circle, it's quite possible. You can make sure that your stories are seen only by people whom you specifically approve. But in other cases, if you're a brand and you want to go as wide or as targeted to a certain audience as you would like, then you get to keep your stories public, which essentially allows anyone with your Snapchat ID to be able to see what you have shared on the network. And also there are these fun notifications that people can set up if they want to get updated on what's happening. Coming back to so what you essentially post on the network while they are snaps, they're also essentially queued up like stories. So every day you have a story to tell, and you are in advertising when you say things like brand storytelling and technique and copywriting and whatnot. But stories are essentially a beautiful way of the network communicating how it expects people to share their experiences and what they have to share on the network. So essentially what you post in a 24-hour window is essentially a story for that particular window. And that is what makes it functional. That's what makes it work. Live stories are essentially larger stories that happen around you. So Thanksgiving, for example, would have right now in your timeline, you will find people sharing their Thanksgiving stories. So while you share your personal story, Thanksgiving allows you to join not just your close circle with what you have to share, but also allows you to share Thanksgiving. This is something that Snapchat would essentially monitor and make sure that they create something that you can contribute your personal story to the larger community's stories. And if your story is interesting enough, they kind of curate and make sure that it gets part of this larger story. So right now, if you fire up your Snapchat, I'm sure you will find at the bottom live stories. These are live events happening around you and around the world, which Snapchat believes you would find exciting and something that you can participate in if you're in the area and be a part of it. Now again, a lot of the stories that you will be sharing are also things that, while the network when it started off would essentially only allow you to share stories ephemerally, I mean, in the sense that they would be here today, gone tomorrow. But in the recent few months, they have added the functionality to allow you to save your stories. These are essentially what they're calling memories, which makes perfect sense. They're sticking to the lingo, and kudos to them for that. But memories allow you to go back and replay some of your stories and see, look back at the ones that you really enjoyed. And that is essentially what Snapchat does for you. And it's really cool. While questions have still been raised about the quality, storage, and longevity of these videos, it's still pretty interesting to see memories back. Initially, there was a little bit of resistance, but people are kind of warmed up to it. It's also very relevant for brands again, because you can save whatever communications you have had with your audience in your memories, and either you can replay them or you can reshare them back. So when you reshare a memory back onto your Snapchat and back to your community and your friends, it comes in a very different frame. It comes in a white frame. It's very unique. It looks very different, and people will know that you're sharing a memory. It's not something that happened today. And that is something that Snapchat really prides itself in differentiating with. It really helps you understand what is being shared from right now versus what is being shared from in the past. So it makes a lot of sense. It kind of stays true to the core essence of the platform and its function. There is also this thing of scores. It's almost like whose line is it anyway? The points really don't matter, but people still care about it, and people still kind of keep track. I mean, for those of you who like the gamification aspect of things, and like to keep tabs on how you and your friends are kind of faring on the network, you'll know. And it's especially interesting to note, I personally have noticed this, a lot of single people who are yet to get their own ball and chain like I have, tend to have higher scores for whatever reason. I'm just going to leave that out there. No judgment. I'm just saying that people who typically are single have higher scores. Just saying. Just saying. If you're single and if you're not on Snapchat, you should be on it. Apparently, it's all the rage for you guys. You should be on it. But anyway, coming back to scores, these are absolutely interesting numbers. Essentially, you get scores every time someone views your story, you view a story. While the exact metrics and the achievements that there are achievements too, just like Xbox. So there are achievements that you can unlock with various scores, with various kinds of things that you do. These things are all very kind of murky. People really don't know exactly how the algorithm works, but it's still a lot of fun. It kind of just sucks you right in. Snap codes are a really cool way. I think these snap codes are what you might remember from BBM codes back in the day. You would scan a BBM code and you would know that, okay, this is, I mean, for those of you who are currently drawing a blank, I'm that old. Yes, I am. BBM codes used to be these QR codes that you could scan on your BlackBerry Messenger, and essentially instead of sharing your BlackBerry PIN, you could just scan that QR code and immediately add someone to your friend list and start messaging them. And that is essentially what you can do with Snapchat. It's essentially what you can do with WhatsApp. It's essentially what you can do with Facebook Messenger, and everyone else seems to be getting the same memo. So it's no new, and it's nothing new, but it allows you to share your Snapchat ID in a very fun, creative way on social networks and invite people to come share and join you back. And Snap codes also allow you to have things like your logo in the middle of the frame, which allows you to work nicely. You can actually have some animations in there. It's a lot of fun. You should totally check it out. A lot of brands are doing some very interesting stuff with just that little tiny window of the ghost, the Snapchat ghost in the middle, and it's a lot of fun. Chat is another new function they have added of late. While this is not something that you might imagine would be immediately useful to your brand, but it is incredibly powerful. For example, if you're a brand and if you're actually sharing your stories, it is only expected that people are going to ask you something back. People are going to ask you questions. People are going to have questions about what you just shared on Snapchat. If it's an offer, it's a new outfit, if it's a fall collection, if it is a new product that you're launching, if it's a teaser. It's good to know that people are listening and have something to say to you. It allows you to create a direct one-to-one interaction with your audience, quite similar to the kind you would expect with Facebook messages on your Facebook page, or with Twitter messages Twitter direct messages, of course. So Snapchat allows people to actually share and communicate one-to-one with each other, and it's a really fun method. Recently, they also added Bitmoji support. The Bitmoji support would allow you to have some really fun, creative emoji that you can actually share onto the network, which is a lot of fun. Again, brands who are really not holding back on the platform can actually open up their credit cards, swipe in to discover for brands. Essentially, this allows brands to get premium placement in a completely separate window within the Snapchat app, which allows brands to consistently and interestingly, creatively post fun stories for their audience to consume. So Discover is essentially a way to ensure that there is a more Discover allows brands to have much more functionality when it comes to the kind of story, the kind of stories they share and the kind of things they can do, and that is essentially what you can do with Discover. And you should totally check it out. A lot of news networks use it, a lot of fun fashion brands use it, celebrities use it, gossip, everything. If it's in and it's happening and it's trending, it's probably on Discover. So it's something that, but it's not for every brand, and we wouldn't recommend it for early stage brands who are kind of just testing the waters and trying to figure out what they can do with Snapchat. Discover is probably something that would need a significant investment on either the brand side or on the agency that's managing the brand, to invest in dedicated resources who are going to be constantly and consistently pushing out content. And we're talking about serious teams with extremely good creative and publishing capabilities. So Discover is for those of you who already know the network, so you're probably not even watching this video, but it's a lot of fun. Snap Cash is actually another thing that Snapchat has launched in collaboration with Square. which allows friends to transact, allows people to transfer money to their friends on the platform. It's beautiful. I've never used it myself, but all you need to do is link up your card and you could start snapping money to people. I mean, I don't know, that doesn't sound right, but it's all the rage. So check it out. If you're in the United States, you get to link your Square account with this and see what happens. So coming to, now that we have had a look at the Snapchat basics, it's about time we look at the audience, the kind of people who are using the network and what they have been all about. And that's essentially, it helps to understand where we are today. We must understand the road we have taken to get here. I'm sure I'm quoting a movie, I just can't name which one. But the fact is, a lot of social networks have been around for quite some time, and they have, Snapchat has been the evolutionary, destination of a lot of the social network. If you look at the social network evolution, you have the Neanderthals, you might call it MySpace. Any MySpace fans? I'm sorry, it's just an example. So you have Neanderthals, and then you have Facebook and Twitter, and the evolution carried on till you have Snapchat. With MySpace, if you'll remember, you had the ability to create your own pages. You add glitter and bling it and bedazzle it and do all kinds of things that were very unpleasant, but allowed you to share music, all kinds of fun things on it. But Snapchat allows you to share just one thing. Facebook allows you to share things in a more restricted manner, while MySpace allowed you to share and design pretty much your entire experience on its network. Orkut let you do a little less, Facebook let you do a little less, Twitter lets you do a lot less, and Snapchat lets you do just this. So it's a very interesting thing to see the way the evolution of these social networks have happened and how we have arrived at Snapchat. And what's around the corner? Well, we can speculate, and but things look interesting. It looks like a whole lot of fun. The other fact is that the audience is, again, while some people might say that millennials are fickle and they might be right or might be wrong. I'm not going to get into that debate. But the fact is that millennials are spoiled for choice. Advertising today is not what it used to be. There are multiple mediums. There is information overload. You are being constantly bombarded with communications from brands, different individuals, different people with different agendas. Right now, you are watching this video and you're surrounded by ads and other potential advertising methods that are currently doing your work. So there is definitely information overload, and people really don't have time to process too much. And that is one of the reasons why you might assume that people really enjoy Snapchat, because you just look at that one screen. It's full screen. You don't get any windows. You don't get any ads at the bottom. You don't get anything constantly nagging you and saying, oh, look at me, look at me. It's very focused. You get to see your videos, you get to see your images, and you get to see exactly what the brand has to say. That really works for them. 7 out of 10 users on the network are millennials, which is brilliant. 30% of teens say that it's their most important social media network. Interestingly, 50% of new users are about 25%. So yeah, as luck would have it, the oldies are finally getting the memo and are going to be on the network pretty soon. So be prepared for your uncles, aunts, parents, and eventually your grandparents to start asking you for your snap codes. And so, watch out. The other key factor is, the other factor is also that 25x users are also 2x more than others. So there are twice more people aged about 25 on the network than any other place. And it also ranks highest. Now, this is something very interesting for brands. Snapchat, and I'm going to say it slowly because it's that important. Snapchat is the second most highest rated network for the ages 18 to 34. Are you hearing me, brands? It is the second most popular network for that particular age group. You really need to understand that while it makes perfect sense for you to have a strategy for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and all these other places, Snapchat is where the action is at, and it is inevitable for you if your audience falls between the range of 18 to 34, which I'm guessing it is. There is a good likelihood that a lot of your key audience members, the influencers, the early adopters, the key people who are going to drive your brand and your product sales are already on the network. So you really need to get into a tasteful conversation with them and see where things happen. So getting into the conversation with people, easier said than done, right? So there are many ideas, a lot many things can be done. And so what do you do? What do I do to get onto the network, and how does it all work? The fun fact is there are so many things you can do. We really couldn't even get started with telling you all the different ideas that can actually work on the network brilliantly. So we have tried a few, and we have experienced phenomenal results with some different ideas that we have tried. But we wanted to share with you a few initial concepts or ideas, just to give you a hint of what kind of ideas you can execute on the platform and how it would really work for you. So to get started, we're going to share a few ideas. The first thing that we're going to actually share is for the fashion category. So imagine, are you here with me? All right. So imagine you are a fashion brand and you want to share a new product. So you are talking about so let's have a look. So a fun idea, for example, would be where you have a slow-mo video where you have your product in focus, it's constantly spinning, and you get to share what it's about, and you get to add some really core values to it. Now this is a nice looping video that you can actually really add the romance and the drama behind your product and really get in on that communication phase. Another key idea is to go into other key areas, which is essentially, again, for Snapchat brands, the stop motion video, for example. So if you have a product, you have inventory, and you want to actually give people a good sense of how your product is and how it looks and how it feels, you could either just show your product front and center and tell people where they can get it, or you can also have someone try out these products. For example, we have found extremely good success with people who are actually demonstrating. For example, someone in your team could actually just put on a jacket that's currently on the racks and tell your audience on Snapchat how wonderful it feels and how warm it is and how fuzzy it is and how bright the colors are and how it works for them and how they love it. And that is something that people will really appreciate, and that kind of communication really resonates well on the network. So moving on, we would also want to talk a little bit about tech brands. If you're a tech brand and you want to share something, who doesn't like a good hack? Who doesn't like a good hack? And that is essentially, so if you want to share ideas for how you need to enhance your iPhone battery, for example, you could share some quick tips with your audience. So this could be, it works across the board, because you get to share all kinds of precise, smart ideas. Now, for example, you could talk about iPhone battery, for example. This is an example of that. You could show people how to live stream using Periscope, or live stream on Periscope using GoPros. So there's another idea. If you're a tech brand, if you want to share that, that's something that you can do as well. So how do you link it up? How do you sync it up? It's nice for instructions, nice to give tips. It works across different kinds of ideas. It allows people to quickly capture what they want and hang on to it. Now, one key thing that you probably are asking yourself at this point is, how do people remember? If I'm looking at something and it's gone tomorrow, how do I hang on to this? And that's precisely where the network does have something interesting to offer, and that is the ability for people to take screenshots. If you're if you are on an iOS device, you already are familiar with it. You just need to press down the home button and the lock screen at the same time, and you can take a screenshot. And Snapchat allows you to do that. It allows you to take screenshots of what you're seeing on screen, and it also tells the sender, or the brand in this case, that someone has just taken a screenshot, which is brilliant. It allows you to know. It's almost the equivalent of taking a link click, you might call it, the click-through rates. You can look at that and actually identify how many people have actually seen your Snapchat and how many people found something that you shared very interesting. Now imagine you have 5 products. You show each product for 5 seconds, boom, 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 and you find that product number 3 has had, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 screenshots, which is interesting because that tells you that product number 3 is popular. People like that, people like what they're seeing, and they want to hang on to it, and it gets saved onto the camera rolls, and they can go back to it and figure out what they want to do with it later. And that is what really works for various categories. Another key idea is events. Now, music brands, concerts, if you're running a trade conference, anything of that sort, one of the things you've had great success with is working with contests. For example, if you want to run a contest on this, you can, for example, one of the activities we had run recently was for a music brand, where we allowed them to pick their favorite song of their favorite artist. So we would pick an artist every weekend and we would play these small little snippets of that artist's music videos, and it's extremely powerful because get the you get to make this really close connection with your audience with music and audio and video, and it's a very rich experience, and people get to screenshot the song that they enjoyed the most. And you could give the one who screenshotted first the a reward of some sort, or you could have the capability of asking multiple questions, and say you have multiple choice questions and you say pick the right answer. So if you have options A, B, C, A, B, and C appear in different screens, and people screenshot the right answer. It's a nice way for people to interact without going out of the way, hashtagging, tweeting, and all of that stuff, which really works, but not on this network. And people can also snap and chat you their various stories and things of that sort. So there is also this really fun thing that on Snapchat that we have obviously seen, which is basically filters. Filters, of course, are things that you can actually. So when you take a picture on Snapchat, you get to identify certain nice, fun sections. For example, when you take a picture and before you hit post, you get to swipe and select where you are. You can have geo filters, which are essentially things that actually tell you that you are right now in Mumbai, New York City, San Francisco. So each city has got their own specific filters, which are these image frames, you might call it, which kind of frame the picture or video that you've just taken, which allow you to really share things. And there are also lenses. For example, you've seen those puppy videos where people actually have these fun videos where you have floppy ears and people are actually just kind of pretending. And follow us on Snapchat, and we'll put up a few fun filters and lenses for you to kind of check out and see what shenanigans we have been up to. So you can actually have, again, coming back to the events, you have people who actually interact and share stories and filters, and you can actually have a celebrity wearing a very complex filter and say something to their fans, and the fans are invited to guess who they are, which is again a lot of fun for everyone involved. Now, one of the questions you're going to be asking yourself is, I know you probably already have a Snapchat account, but crickets, you could probably hear them if you tried really hard. It's because Snapchat really doesn't work right off the bat. You really can't, there is no advertising medium that is overtly evident. You can't run a Facebook like campaign, you can't run a Twitter follower campaign. You need to organically and smartly draw your audience to you. And essentially there are many ways you can go about doing that, and we just want to give you a few top of the mind quick ways that you can actually get activated on your Snapchat followers. So one of the key essential things is that you probably have advertising going on. You already have communications for your brand going out on various networks. You have it on Facebook, you have it on Twitter, you have it on Instagram. What you can do, and it's as simple as that, you could even have an outdoor hoarding, you could have a print ad, you could even be on television. And all you need to do is add your brand snap code or your Snapchat ID in text right at the as a part of your brand communications, and people can either scan that or enter it into their phones, and voila, they are ready to go. So one key aspect would be to also entice people to come back and follow your brand on social networks, follow your brand on Snapchat by sharing communications that you're having on Snapchat, which is uniquely different from what you're sharing on the other networks. So for example, if we are doing an activity on Snapchat, we make it a point to always take a fun few tidbits of that communication and share it as a teaser onto Facebook, onto Twitter, onto Instagram, and entice people. We tell them that, you're missing out on the fun if you are not following us on Snapchat as well. And it's also very exciting if you're an e-commerce brand and you have products and you have limited inventory and you have offers, you can easily create a custom coupon code that has, let us say, Snap code or Snapchat as the coupon code, and would allow people to essentially use that. So you would be able to verify how many people have got that coupon code direction from Snapchat. So that's another fun way. Conduct contests and quizzes and giveaways on Snapchat, and that is something that are also very powerful draw for people who would get those initial followers onto the network. One other key factor is you need to be consistent. You need to, there is only so much screen space on our phones, and brands who really don't share stories or even fun stories often enough get unfriended, unfollowed. As much as that smirks, the fact is that you really need to invest in being consistent with your communications and engaging your audience consistently. Um, you can indirectly promote the brand. It's never too good to be salesy, and I think we all already understand that. And that is one of the key factors we also reiterate quite often to our brands, is that you cannot hard sell. You need to be tasteful. You need to be you need to communicate the values of your brand without actually just saying buy, buy, buy. And that is something that you can really do on Snapchat quite well. Really good storytelling capabilities, like the network already tells us. Snapchat is all about telling stories. It's about telling stories that last 24 hours. So you really need to uh, have compelling brand storytelling that can actually evoke powerful emotions from your audience, and that is essentially what you want to use the network for. Takeovers by brand ambassadors. Now, for example, if you're following any major brand, YouTube or YouTube Fan Fest, for example, you would actually find that a lot of their influencers, a lot of if you're going to a concert, if you're going to if you're going to Coachella or Burning Man, or I mean Burning Man so much, but definitely other concerts, you would find the musicians actually doing takeovers, which are essentially where you would have the band members or some of the performers or celebrities actually taking over the Snapchat account for the brand and giving them a perspective or a backstage perspective of what's going on behind the scenes, which is brilliant, which is not something that you typically would share into something that's permanent on your Facebook timeline, because it's kind of wonky and not as perfect and precise and clean and cut the way you would like it to be. But Snapchat is a perfect medium for you to do that, because it allows you to give people the opportunity to be creative and to try what they want to do with it. And advertising is one of the key methods. Obviously, for example, you can use the Snap code with some fun Snapchat teasers, going out as banners, going out as video ads, just enticing people to and telling them that this is all the fun that's going on Snapchat with this brand. Why aren't you a part of this? Why aren't you joining in on all the fun? And that is essentially another key and direct method for you to grow your audience. So that's essentially a bunch of ideas to just get you those initial followers. They'll work wonders for us, and I'm sure they'll work wonders for you. Moving on, we also are in the business of social media, and no brand is going to invest time and effort, resources into a network that hasn't demonstrated clear value to the brand. And therefore, it becomes inevitable for us to be able to track and measure our success on the network. And Snapchat, while it does not allow you the charts and graphs and impressions and whatnot that you might be used to and spoiled by the other networks, it still allows you to get some really cool analytics at the end of 24 hours, from the moment when you posted your story till just before it kind of goes away. You can actually see how many people have viewed your story, how many people have Snapchatted, or sorry, screenshotted any specific parts of the story that you have shared, how many people have interacted with you by sharing chats with you. It all comes together quite well, and it works wonders. It tells you how many unique users have connected with you. It tells you how many people have completed. Now, how many people have dropped off. All of you e-commerce guys out there, this is almost the variant of shopping cart abandonment. People who add things to the thing but do not take things to fruition. And that is one of the key factors with Snapchat as well. If your stories are not compelling enough, you will know, because people are not going to stay the entire 8 snaps. If your story is essentially a series of 8 snaps, people might start dropping off at 2, 3, 4, 5, at some point, and then you know that the storytelling wasn't compelling enough, and that is one of the reasons that's happened. While that allows you to go back and shake that head and come up with some really exciting new ideas to re-engage your audience, and you really need to, and that is instant feedback, and that's one of the beauties of Snapchat. You don't have to wait long enough. From the moment you hit send, you start getting feedback on how many people have seen it, how they're reacting to it, and people can even start chatting back to you. The feedback is instantaneous. And remember, as a brand, screenshot is your friend. You need to take timely screenshots and hang on to things, and that is one of the key ways for you to measure the success your brand is having on Snapchat. total number of story completions, the completion rates. These are percentages you can do on your spreadsheets, so knock yourselves out. Screenshots, like I just mentioned, and you can always put up the ideas on the board. It's always a good idea to, at the end of the week, end of the month, to have a review of the kind of Snapchats that have been shared, and the kind of metrics and the kind of views and the kind of drop-off rates you have seen at various stages in that particular story. And then kind of introspect and understand what worked, what didn't work, and enhance, try out some new ideas, reinvest into ideas that have worked, and continue to invest in ideas that are innovative and new and haven't been seen before. And people are always looking for the novelty factor, and Snapchat allows you a brilliant platform for you to kind of explore and leverage that as well. Now wrapping up, as we come to the end of this video, we also want to talk quickly about spectacles. We are about a few hours away. I'm just going to pull that up on screen and see what we have. So spectacles essentially is the latest innovation from Snap Inc. So since Snapchat rebranded itself from Snapchat to Spectacles, they launched this, and essentially the latest innovation that they're launching in a few hours is the bot, which is the video we are watching right now. The bot is actually this really cute vending machine that will take $130 away from you. Let's not joke about that. That's some serious moolah. And what it will give you is a really pair of smart goggles, what essentially are spectacles. Spectacles are essentially these goggles that you can wear. They are nothing like the Google Glass, and they have taken a very different direction from Google. I'll kind of touch on that later. But the fact is, these are regular sunglasses that you can wear. They come in a few standard shades. They're unisex. Boys and girls can both wear them. And essentially, they have a camera on them. And essentially, you tap your glasses and you'll record a 10-second video, which gets saved onto your Snapchat via Bluetooth in memories, which you can then share. If you tap your glasses again while you're recording the video, you take a 20-second video. You tap it again, you take a 30-second video. And if you tap it again, nothing happens because you just get 30 seconds. And this essentially allows you opportunities to share memories onto your Snapchat, which you can then share back into your community, which is brilliant. And a really fun thing, and for those of you who remember the Google Explorer adventure or misadventure, as you might want to call it, or the glass holes, those people are essentially tech nerds who kind of lambasted Google for the way they launched it and the kind of exorbitant price range in which the Google Glass was placed and why it did not work. Snapchat went a completely different route, and kudos to them for getting it just right. They gave the spectacles to early adopters, essentially not to the tech guys, people who really don't get the agenda and might just kind of talk about megapixels and duration and all kinds of other things. They instead gave it to fashionistas. They gave it to people who understand fashion, who understand taste. No offense to you techies out there, I'm one of you. So people who can actually really highly influence audience and tell them how they really need to use it. And it's a complement to the, it's a stylish fashion accessory that people can actually see themselves wearing when you see people who you admire in fashion actually wearing it and recommending it. And that's one of the reasons why spectacles are all the rage, and people are kind of expecting them to go out on eBay at 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times the price at which they're retailing. And good luck to you if you're trying to get one this holiday season. They are apparently in limited quantities and are going to be quite difficult to get your hands on. So cue the jokes, they will be coming soon. The fact, another innovation with spectacles is that they take spherical videos. Now, those of us, all of us who take mobile video, remember that we always have a very clear choice in our life. Either we go vertical, portrait, or we go horizontal, landscape, or we can go gangster and go diagonal. But the fact is that you can actually record videos in full spherical drama on your spectacles, and you can choose later, before you post it onto your Snapchat, whether you want to share that video in vertical or horizontal format. And that is essentially the beauty of another fun innovation for Snap Inc. to look into. While the jury is still out, the jury is still waiting to get their hands on the spectacles, and it's only the end of the holiday season that we will actually look at the real retail numbers and know if the launch has been a success. But it really does tell us some very interesting facts and innovations are in store. This is just version 1.0 of Spectacles. Rest assured, there are going to be different styles, different designs coming to you in the near future that are going to kind of leverage on this. And again, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of reviews and videos and feedback coming to you very soon on all the networks on how Spectacles are working. And for the brands out there, Spectacles again allow you to have live interactions with your audiences, things of that sort. One of the drawbacks with with the Spectacles, which anyone would notice, is that the camera is always pointed away from you. Typically, when you watch Snapchats, you notice that people are essentially recording themselves. And that's one of the weird things with Spectacles, that it always captures what you're seeing. It doesn't capture you within your environment, within your world, within your universe, which is actually one of the key things that people like to share. So let's see how people kind of adopt to it and kind of get on with the network. But for the brands out there, Spectacles allow you to actually, while it's not completely evident why you would want to use a spectacle for your brand, it does kind of make sense for you to actively and rapidly share experiences and stories from a live event or anything that's kind of happening right now, right there, for you to be quickly capturing. All you need to do is tap away and you're on. It really allows you to work. And one of the things that we must also mention is the privacy concerns that people had with the Google Glass. So every time you would walk up to someone who was wearing Google Glass, the inevitable question would be, are you recording me right now? And that isn't the case with the Spectacles. The Spectacles, they have been smart enough to have this rotational LED right around the rims of the glasses that would tell people that a video has been recorded right now. So anyone who is watching you will actually see a spinning LED circle that would actually tell them that, oh, this guy or girl is just recording this conversation and I need to watch what I say. But it's really good. It puts it out there. It keeps things out there. It doesn't create too much melodrama. It allows you to participate and share stories interactively when people are really engaged and are interested in sharing their pieces of it. So that is one of the reasons why Spectacles are going to be a lot of fun. There is also the fact that Snapchat is really surprising a lot of people by actually launching Spectacles first on Android and not iOS first. Go figure. It's probably one of the first brands to actually do that. It really doesn't make any sense. But Android, yeah, good on you. You really got the first mover. So tell us, iOS guys, how the experience was. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that, but listen up, Apple. Maybe there's something for you to pay attention to here. But the fact is, Snapchat is going places, and we are confident and can give it to you in writing that your brand would definitely, we're not going to give it to you in writing. Yeah, that your brand is definitely going to engage and love using Snapchat. It's going to work wonders for you if you use it right, and if your audience is appropriate enough. It's a very powerful network which can really work some magic. So if you have any questions for us, we are going to be around. Just tag us with social hacks, and we'll come right back at you. So in the meanwhile, I'm just going to go off screen for a moment and check if you have any questions. If not, then we're going to wait and we're going to interact with you, and we'll come back to you soon with another social hacks video.